Government now shut down after Democrats and Republicans couldn't reach an agreement on federal spending. Joining us right now is Senate Democrat Peter Welch. Good morning to you, Senator. We're all trying to understand what comes next. What kind of negotiation is happening or not happening behind the scenes? Can you just even update us on that before we get into it all?
Well, I don't have any news to report. The bottom line is there have been no negotiations whatsoever. I saw you ran that quote of President Trump. He said, don't even bother talking to them. And of course, that's a total departure because the president, Republican or Democrat, has always been the convener to try to get the policy differences that divided the Republicans and Democrats resolved. And the president just made it clear that he was not interested in that. And what's different, too, is the Republicans in the Senate deferred to President Trump. So we've got to get together and start talking about a resolution. And the big concern for us is health care.
And the question that I would just ask you, though, is there's going to be more and more pressure on your party to try to come to the table and reach a deal, or maybe just to capitulate completely. And what would you need effectively at this point, and as you think about the next couple of days and as this plays out, what you think the Democrats will ultimately need to get in any way at all to get something across the line?
Right. Well, number one, the fact is where there's a shutdown, it's an indication of the systematic failure of Congress, including the executive branch, to do its work. And it's getting more prevalent. I don't like a shutdown. It's a tactic that is very difficult, but it's the only one we have. Second, what is our goal is to make progress on health care. I mean, the real battle here continues to be about Obamacare and the role of government in health care. You remember, we had that fight in 2010. Obamacare passed, and Trump's first term, they tried to repeal it in the House like 60 times, came within a vote of repealing it in the Senate, and famously John McCain, a man I greatly admire, saved Obamacare. Trump, too, the administration is not talking about Obamacare, but they're really being effective on dismantling it. And that is incredibly damaging for the well-being of the people I represent, and frankly, for businesses and for the economy. So we've got to push back to not have the whole Obamacare system, both the expansion on Medicaid, where we lost and 15 million people will lose their health care over 10 years, and now the Affordable Care Act, where 45,000 Vermonters will lose health care if we don't extend the premium support. So that's the point, I think, where productive negotiations could occur. And by the way, that would affect folks not just in Vermont, but in a red state, West Virginia. So there's common interest here, Republicans and Democrats, to protect the folks we represent from catastrophic premium increases.
Senator, I understand your point about health care. That's a fair point to make, but shutting down the government to do it is not something I've ever been a fan of, whether it's been Democrats or Republicans who have done this. While you're doing this, there are 3 million federal employees who aren't going to get paid. Maybe they'll get their deferred pay back at the end of that time. Any contractors to the government are likely to not get paid for the hours that they've not worked and missed. And meantime, the senators and the members of the House of Representatives will all be getting paid through that entire process. That seems pretty unfair, and like you don't feel the pain everyone else is going to feel.
Well, first of all, I want to say I agree with you. I mean, I hate shutdowns, okay? And it's a tactic that I prefer not to use. It's the only one that we have. Second, I will not be taking my pay, the same as everyone else. So that hardship that you described is real. But there's another issue here, and that is two things. One, there has been a total refusal on the part of the Republicans and the president to negotiate with us at all. And that's unique. You know, in the past, when the Democrats have been in charge and we've had continuing resolutions, it's a result of a bipartisan negotiation. But if you have a president who says, don't even bother talking to them, and you are wanting to avoid a shutdown, how do you have that discussion that allows you to resolve those differences? So that's what's unique here. But the point that you made is a valid point. But the point I'm making, and I ask my Republican colleagues this, why won't you negotiate with us when we're being clear that this is about protecting health care, trying to stop these wicked premium increases that are so detrimental to our small businesses and also going to cost people access to any kind of health care and put real pressure on our community hospitals?
Senator, they're just going back to pre-COVID levels for the Obamacare subsidies that were supercharged. The Journal has a big piece today that it will not cut. For most people, that it doesn't really change that much. It got totally out of hand. A lot of people are paying zero, and were added to they don't even know they have it, some of these people, or have never used the health care, and it's been totally abused. And the pandemic's over, and I think that's. Yeah. And if you want to negotiate, the Republicans say do it during the appropriations process, not during a government funding moment.
Well, two things, Joe. For the lower income folks, I think you're right. Okay, they're not going to be affected by this. The folks that are really going to be affected are folks in making up to say $150,000. And let me give you an example. In Vermont, a couple who make $85,000, their premiums will go up about $15,000. That's real money.